Would you be surprised if they won 9-10 games? I wouldn't. I think 1 out of every 3 years you should be in the playoffs. Minimum. You can't go to the playoffs in your history, Detroit, 19% of the time. That's pathetic. If I am not competing in the division, the hell am I to think Super Bowl, win playoff games?
They're going to take a quarterback. Well, watch it. You heard it here first.
2 of their first 3 picks were an edge rusher. Yes. So here. Terry, I like to think I'm very fair when it comes to my criticism of the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
All right? Maybe people don't think that, but I like to believe
people don't think
I'm
that.
pretty objective. Last year I told you 3 wins. That's exactly what they got. It was looking like 0-17 at one point, but we don't need to talk about that. This year, yeah, I'm with you, Terry. I think 6-8 is very doable. I'll go in the middle. I'll meet you halfway and say 7.
Okay.
And it wouldn't surprise me. Let me just say that. It wouldn't surprise me if this was a 9-win football team. Let me say that. It would not surprise me at all because I believe they're going to be a pain in the ass to play against. And if Aaron Glenn can elevate the defense from 31st and 32nd in the league to 20 and 18, 20 and 21 even, I think the offense, the run game, the offensive line, the weapons they'll have at wide receiver, I don't even want to consider Hawkinson because he hasn't been elite in terms of production, but he's a threat at least. He is on the field. And when he is healthy on the field, he is a threat. And if Jared Goff can have a full season like he did down the stretch last year, yeah, you're looking at a good football team. Wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. Here's what I think is going to happen. If they're going to win 9 games, Jared Goff is going to have the ball 3 times at his 20 or 25-yard line, 2 minutes and 20 seconds left or whatever, or 1:50 left, trailing by 3 points. He's got to either guide them to a field goal and win it in overtime or score a touchdown. Is he capable of doing that 3 times?
A game?
A season?
I'd say twice. Sure, I could buy it. 3?
Then that puts us at 8.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, look, I don't think he's going to pull wins out of his, let's just be frank, wins out of his ass like Matthew Stafford did during his time in Detroit. I don't think he's that guy where in the 4th quarter he'll be able to drive you down the field when all things are grim or they look hopeless. But again, Terry, I think the way they're going to play football this year, I think the way the team is built, the way it's set up is they're going to improve in terms of run defense. I think coverage-wise in the passing game, they'll be much better. They'll be able to get to the quarterback now, which was funny because I was told, Terry, again, information that I was given. This isn't me. And the information I was given from the quote-unquote protectors of the Lions gate and all the Lions people that know everything about the Lions and the fans, right? Those people. They told me that the Lions weren't going to take an edge rusher at 2 because they extended Charles Harris for 2 years. Did you know, Terry, at picks 2 and 46, they took an edge rusher?
Yes.
2 of their first 3 picks were an edge rusher.
Yes.
So here. Here you go. To all of you that morning. Or this morning.
Oh, you know what? There's a young man who does a show after this named Neil Rule.
I love
Neil.
what
he guaranteed?
Blast him,
What did he
Perry.
guarantee?
He guaranteed the Lions would take a quarterback in the 1st or 2nd round.
He did.
Guaranteed. And he was all snobby.
yeah.
He was all, they're going to take a quarterback.
Well-
Watch it. You heard it here first.
He was pissed because no one believed him, and then Scott Bischoff came out. Everyone's like, "Ooh, that sounds great." Yeah, Malik Wilson too. So he was angry that no one believed
And
him.
I'm sitting here telling you it's an edge rusher for the longest time. And I told you, again, we don't need to
Draft the
bring up what
cocaine.
happened. We don't need to bring up what happened, all right?
Well,
all there.
let me defend those people that you consider
It makes
stupid.
sense, though, to be fair to them.
They were told
They were
by
told.
a previous coach, "Oh, you don't have to rush the quarterback. You can lay back and play good defense, and everything will work out fine." So they kind of believed him, even though it didn't work out.
It's so funny to me, though, because you had Matthew Stafford for 12 years. And Terry, you never built a front office, a head coach, or a legitimate roster outside of maybe 2 seasons. Never, ever, ever. Never, ever, ever. And now it's rushed to get the... Why? Why? Looks like you have the front office. To be determined on the head coach. I don't need Jared Goff to be excellent. I can win with average in this league. It is proven. In the NFL, you can win with average. You just can.
And you know what? You know what else you have? You no longer have a Ford in charge.
Yes, that's right.
Sheila changed her name. I'm Sheila Ham.
Terry, it's been a minute since I would say since 2014, where people are going into a season, and the end of 2014, where the following season you're going in with expectations. Okay. And I don't think the expectations the fan base has this year are unrealistic. Even your friend Ryan. Now, minimum 9? That's quite the bar. Given there's a lot of unknown factors, and it's a young team. And what happens with young football players? Typically, they are inconsistent. You're not getting the same thing week in and week out. But let's say I look past it and everything goes right. Terry, again, I would say it wouldn't surprise me. Would you be surprised if they won 9-10 games? I wouldn't.
I would be slightly surprised. 7, I wouldn't be surprised. 5 or 6, I would be surprised. I'd be like, what the hell's going on here?
So you agree the offseason not only changes and signings, but the draft has impressed you?
I also think that the mentality in that locker room has been changed. And you didn't necessarily see it in 3-13-1, but the way they think and the way they're motivated is different.
I'm going to give you a list of coaches. I'm not going to include Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, even Pete Carroll, some of the guys that are obviously have been very successful. Let's just go with coaches that fit the age and experience of Dan Campbell.
Okay.
Well, Sean McVay's in his 6th year now, going into his 6th season as an NFL head coach.
Yes.
He has a, my mind is going a million places. He has a 55-25 record. Obviously, they just won the Super Bowl, so he's now elevated himself. Maybe not the most fair comp. Kyle Shanahan. A losing record in the NFL up until last year. But now multiple NFC title games. You can win. Okay. Mike Vrabel. Does that fit Dan Campbell maybe a little bit more? Can you see Mike Vrabel and Dan?
Mike Vrabel is the guy I wanted them to bring in instead of Matt Patricia.
I remember those conversations. That was a thing. That was a thing. That would have been one of those shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But again, I don't know how I feel about the Matt Patricia thing anymore. Like, he's such a fat, you know what? I don't even have to insult him. Just his name is an insult alone. They tried to take the next step. They completely botched it. Sean McDermott with the Bills. There's Matt LaFleur with the Packers. Kevin Stefanski with the Browns. That's it. I mean, those are the youngish coaches that are successful. Cliff Kingsbury, if you want to count him, sure. Zach Taylor, sure.
But a lot of these guys still have something to prove.
Yes.
I think Stefanski could lose the Browns.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That could be a failure there.
It could be, but he's got the best quarterback in the division outside of Joe Burrow.
But a quarterback who has a losing record.
Very true, with a losing franchise, though.
Correct.
Right, and we saw what, granted, Cleveland is a losing franchise, and I'm not so confident that Amari Cooper is going to solve all their problems, but I think they'll be good. I don't think they're going to be excellent. I still think they're a few pieces away, but this should be a lesson to everybody. We've seen coaches walk into the league and just be successful right away. We've seen coaches struggle early on and then be very successful. And Dan Campbell, after a 3-13-1 season, could be the guy that struggles for his first year, slightly improves his second year, takes off the third year. But if there's no takeoff by the third year, Terry, oof. Oof.
Would you just be concerned, or would you?
I'd be ready
Would
to
you get
cut.
on the air saying, "Get rid of his
No,
ass"?
I'd be on there saying get rid of him.
Okay.
See, no, I'm not. I am very patient, but I'm not complacent. When I can identify your ceiling as a head coach, you're done. If I don't believe you can win me a division, that is so pathetic. That is so pathetic. And if in 3 years you have not competed for the division, why the hell should I give you year 4? Why? If I believe I have a roster that can do it. And on top of that, let's say you evolve. You now have a division-winning head coach, a playoff-winning head coach, may I add, that wins you a playoff game, wins you a division, contends for the division. Okay, good. Great. I absolutely love you. I believe I have a Super Bowl roster, let's say. Those aren't good enough.
No, you're right. Here's what I will
You see where the
caution
ceiling?
you.
You see where the ceiling changes?
I
I'm not
hear
talking
you.
about the Lions right now. I'm talking in situations where you have to understand. Do people believe right now that Matt LaFleur can get the Packers to a Super Bowl? I would say no. But he's been to multiple NFC title games, but he's lost them all.
Yeah, but his Hall of Fame quarterback turned into a.
Of course. No,
melon.
I understand. The point is, no one's getting rid of Matt LaFleur anytime soon.
No.
Regular season resume, playoff resume, too damn good. 5 years from now, if they haven't gotten back to an NFC title game, yeah, Terry, I'm going to probably have to move on.
Well, because the other issue is that his word is getting lost.
Yes.
For the most part, and there's exceptions, but for the most part, you can coach a team 7 years, then they tune you out. But there's exceptions.
Mike
There's
Tomlin,
exceptions, right?
Bill Belichick, even.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I start and tell me if I am maybe not ambitious enough. Feel free to tell me. I think the most important thing every single season, if you have a good team, is to win your division. That's the goal. Number one, always. Win the division first. When you win the division, we can talk about winning playoff games. When you win playoff games, we can talk about becoming contenders. There's a step-by-step process you have to take. You don't just become Super Bowl contenders. What the Bengals did is the first time in NFL history it's been done, which is a team that's drafted a quarterback number 1 overall, was in the Super Bowl within his first 2 years. Never happens. Never happens. Happened last year. An anomaly. A single data point in the 56 years of the NFL Super Bowl era. That's what you want to rely on?
I can't hate on you because my expectations are less than yours. People always say, why are you always on the Lions' ass? I said, tell you what, if they win a playoff game, I'm done. I'm fine.
See,
And that's not enough.
Maybe that's the difference because I haven't watched them suck for 50 years. I've watched them suck for 20. and maybe that, maybe I still have mileage that I need to get on me before I have that mindset. But
Sure.
yeah, no, I think football is very simple. As a sports fan, I think it should be this simple. Contend for the division. If you're winning the division year in and year out, like as a Packers fan, do you look at the last 25 years and say, damn, only 2 Super Bowls? That's disappointing.
I think they do.
I think you do.
Yes.
But I also think it's easy to do that now because you've had all those division titles. You've had all those playoff wins. You've had all those NFC title appearances. I don't mind if you're competing and you're coming up short, Terry, of something that only 2 teams every single season can get to, which is a Super Bowl. A thing that only 1 team every year can win, which is the Super Bowl. If you have Super Bowl or bust expectations for a team that hasn't won a division in 30 years, you're building your mindset incorrectly, in my opinion.
But
I think
here,
if this team,
here's the difference with the Green Bay. The reason you're pissed off in Green Bay because normally that NFC Championship game
Was
is
at
in
Lambeau.
the cold
Yep.
at Lambeau. You're the favorite, and you've been playing great up until then, and then you lay an egg. That's why. That's the reason it's
And that's
very
a
disappointing.
different story. Everybody's story is unique. It can be disappointing and amazing for different reasons. But at the end of the day, if you want to get rid of the same old Lions stigma, it's not with a playoff win. It's over a 6, 8, 10-year stretch, you win multiple divisions, multiple playoff games. Dare I say, you get to an NFC title game. You become a legitimate franchise. I'm not asking for 15 years of dominance like the Patriots, like the Steelers. I understand that's very difficult to do, even with a franchise quarterback. But you can't go to the playoffs in your history, Detroit, 19% of the time. That's pathetic. You should be damn near 30 to 33%. I think 1 out of every 3 years you should be in the playoffs. Minimum. That's a good franchise, in my opinion.
No, that's a mediocre franchise. When you look at the NFL, mediocre franchises make the playoffs 3 out of every 10 years. So that's 30%.
Give me a mediocre franchise, real quick. Just name one.
How about the Cleveland Browns?
Cleveland Browns. Okay.
I'd say they're mediocre.
I think, well, they've been so...
Anybody else in the division? Minnesota, Chicago?
All right, we'll do Minnesota. Minnesota's a great example. The Minnesota Vikings. Here. We're going to go over their playoff history. This is going to be fun, actually. You ready for this, Terry?
I'm ready.
Since the year 2000, or how far back do we want to go? 1990?
Sure.
Well, let's start from 1990. Since the year 1990, in how many years? What is that, 32 years?
Yes, sir.
They've made the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of the 32 years.
Okay. And that's...
And your words, which is insane, right? Mm-hmm. The quote mediocre, they're above 50% of the time they're making the playoffs. Right. And the Lions are sitting there all time at 19%. Now, if I go through their all-time... Since 1961, they've made the playoffs... So what would we say? 17, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. 32 out of the 61 years they've been in the NFL. Mm-hmm. More than 50% of the time the Vikings have been in the playoffs.
Right.
And they haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 70s, right?
Correct.
But as a Vikings fan, how do I get frustrated with a team that wins a division every 2-3 years? Gets to the playoffs every other year. Wins playoff games every other 3-4 years, 5 years. It's tricky.
You do get upset.
You get disappointed.
You have higher expectations.
Thank you.
Because you hate the Chicago Bears. Because the Bears take something from you. You hate the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, not the Vikings, but the Green Bay Packers, because they take something from you. The Lions, I mean, you can't really hate anybody because you're not really competing with them. They're not taking something away from you. You're taking away from yourself.
A mediocre franchise, let's say...
You know who the Lion fans make fun of? The Bears.
The Bears? So let's do the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears record since 1990. Let's do 2000. It's a lot. Okay. That's a ton of data. So since the year 2000, the Bears have made the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 out of 22. So that is what? Percentage of 27%.
Okay.
In the last 20 years, the Bears have made it 27% of the time. In your franchise's history, Lions, you've made it 19%.
You know what the Bears have done in that time, too?
They've been to a Super Bowl.
They won 2 division titles.
Yep, that too. And they've won multiple playoff games. Since the year 2000 for the Lions, they've made the playoffs 3 times, which means they are getting to the playoffs, Terry, 14% of the time. Less than their current all-time average. That is the fundamental problem, I believe, with a big part of this fan base. Not everybody, but you need to understand this. You need to look at your own division, your own self, and say, if I am not competing in the division, the hell am I to think Super Bowl, win playoff games? You know how you win playoff games consistently, guys? By winning your division. Why? If you're good enough to win your division, you're good enough to win a playoff game. Yeah, you can be the 7-8 seed, or excuse me, the 7-6-5 seed that sneaks in. You're in a talented division, you didn't win it, so you end up winning. Fine, that happens. We saw it with the Rams, Seattle, all these years. You can go back. It happens. The teams that win consistently in the playoffs, even the Packers, they may get knocked out all the time. They win a damn playoff game. They typically don't go out in the first time like they did this past year. Rarely happens. Win your division. Host a playoff game. Win a playoff game, dare I say. Build a legitimate 10, 15-year run where you've won your division 7 times in 17, 18 years. Where you've made the playoffs 13 out of those 18 years. I'm not asking for much, Terry. Maybe I am. I don't know.
No, you're not.
I don't want to be... If you could be a 60% win rate, go for it. But if you could be the Minnesota Vikings, Detroit, what a franchise you would be. A respectable franchise. A winning franchise. Could you get to the Super Bowl? No. Sorry. They didn't get to it with Case Keenum. They didn't get to it with Kirk Cousins. They almost got there with Brett Favre. Okay, fine. They haven't gotten there. Fine. Frank Tarkenton, they didn't get him. They didn't get there with him. They were on the doorstep. They've gone to multiple NFC title games. I'm talking about Minnesota. Detroit, you get into a wild card game against Seattle and lose, what, 26-6? 27-6? And you're proud of that.
It was by 20.
And you're proud of that, and you're proud of that head coach. Because you get to the playoff 50% of the time. Losers. Losers. Don't understand a damn thing about football.